County Emergency Management Agency. I'm just here to be traffic cop today. Thank you all for being here. I know it's been very busy for all of you and probably most of you overnight. Our first speaker today is our Williamson County Board Chairman, Tim Atkinson. That's Atkisson. Tim?
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for all of you for being here today. We've had quite a snow event, and we've got some people here. We've got some fine people in the county that have been working very hard over the last couple of days to provide our services to you. Today we've got Brian Burgess, the EMA Director, and George Shepard, our County Highway Engineer. They're going to talk about the services that they're providing for our citizens today. I talked with the sheriff. The sheriff's been out on hundreds of calls. His people are busy. He would have been here today, except that, once again, he's been busy answering calls. That's about all I have to say right now. Brian, would you like to come up? We're going to do George first? Okay. George Shepard, our highway engineer. Thank you.
It's the Williamson County Highway Engineer, George Shepard. That's Shepard. George?
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Well, when we first heard that we were going to have this storm, we obviously prepared, but you don't know how bad it's going to be till it actually starts. So once Saturday came around, we pre-treated and kind of prepared for the worst, and we got it. So yesterday we started very early pre-treating the roads, and we could already plow some sleet off at that point. And we did really well on our primaries, which are our asphalt roads. Our secondary oil and chip roads were starting to get pretty rough with the sleet. But as we were doing really well last night, the temperature dropped, and that's when the wind picked up, and the trees were ice covered, the lines are ice covered, and we started getting power outages and trees falling, and we fought those all night long. So our guys have been working diligently. Some of them 2 shifts. We've really been putting in the work to try to get these cleared, and I just want folks to know that we're working our hardest, and that we know they're out there. We know there's problems. To please be patient with us, and to and if they can possibly stay off the roads and let us get those let us get them cleaned up. We're going to be in the spring cleaning debris up, but right now we're pushing limbs. We've got 2 backhoe crews and an excavator crew out trying to get things cleared. So thank you for being patient, and thanks. Does anybody have any questions?
We'll take questions.
Oh, very good. Very good. Thank you.
Next up is Ameren Community Relations Executive Jennifer Lee. That's Lee.
Hello. Ameren Illinois crews have been continuing their restoration efforts throughout the Southern Illinois region. As you know, the ice storms, and of course George just talked about how challenging they can be. They're very challenging for our crews as significant ice build-up combined with below freezing temperatures and high winds wreak havoc on our power lines, transformers, and other equipment. We had field individuals come into the office and begin work early yesterday morning. We also had another crew in the evening. They've been working around the clock, doing everything they can. We have approximately 800 additional resources dedicated to the restoration effort here in the region that are coming in as well. This includes linemen, tree trimmers, damage assessors, and support personnel. Currently, we have approximately 22,000 customers remain without power in Jackson, Williamson, Saline, and Gallatin counties. We estimate that 80% of these customers will be restored by 11 p.m. Tuesday, which is tomorrow. We will be executing outbound direct communication to impacted customers to inform them of the estimated restoration window. Those that are signed up for text alerts will receive alerts through their preferred channels. All others will receive a phone call. We thank our customers for their patience during this time. We know it is very, very challenging to be without power. We know that it is also challenging for our individuals out there working in these conditions, but it is extremely important that all of our individuals work safely, and so our crews are working as quickly as possible, but also as safely as possible. Thank you.
Williamson County Emergency Management Agency Director Brian Burgess, Burgess.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. I have a couple of prepared statements I wish to share. Just some specifics. I know that Mrs. Lee had referenced the number of residents without power in Jackson and Williamson, but as of the last count on Ameren's website, there were 6,951 outages in Williamson County specific. The Southern Illinois Power Cooperative, it has 469 outages, and the Egyptian Power Cooperative has 922, for a total of 8,342 power outages in Williamson County. Before I go into my prepared statement, I would like to first of all thank all the emergency responders that have worked all night long, in addition to our road crews. Our law enforcement, our fire departments, and our EMS providers have worked diligently all night long on all of the calls that they've responded to. They have worked around the clock for the last 24 hours since this call came out. So I really want to acknowledge their efforts and thank them for everything that they've done. I know they're still taking calls now, but things have finally started to settle down, and we're starting to come back to at least a regular call volume at this point. I do have a prepared statement that I'm going to read to you, and if you wish to have this emailed to you, this is a official press release from Egyptian Electric Cooperative, but I'm going to read the prepared statement. Egyptian Electric Cooperative crews are working to restore power to approximately 3,100 members still impacted by widespread outages following the ice storm. As of Monday morning, the hardest hit areas remain in southern Jackson and Williamson counties, where wind and ice continue to bring down trees, poles, and power lines. Their current efforts are as follows. The ECCA, which is the Egyptian Electric Cooperative, crews, along with 12 additional contract linemen and 2 contract forestry crews, are prioritizing areas with the largest outage and most members affected. Additional crews are being called in today to speed up restoration efforts. Crews are concentrated on southern Jackson and Williamson counties, working on feeders connected to Findlay, Grassy, Hastings, Murfreesboro, Carterville, Keller, Shawnee, Cora, and Walker's Bluff substations. Their goal is to restore power to as many members as possible today, says Shane Hermetz, Hermetz, the general manager of the ECCA. However, crews in the field are facing extremely challenging conditions, with repairs in one area sometimes undone by additional damage in nearby locations. Currently, all substations are online, so crews are starting at feeders and working outwards. The further our members are from the main lines, the more likely it is the restoration will take longer. For members without power, EECA encourages seeking alternate shelter or visiting a warming shelter. A list of warming shelters is available through local media outlets, including WSIL, KFES 12, and WFCN News. Updates will be made every 2 hours on Egyptian Electric Cooperative's Facebook page and their website at eeca.coop. As far as homeowners that have experienced damage or downed trees if assistance is needed. Arnold Ramage, that would be Arnold, ARNOLD, RAMMAGE, with the Southern Baptist Disaster Relief Group, has set up a link to request assistance from their crews. Their crews will be moving as soon as roadways are clear and safe to do so. They have established a Google form that you will be able to access through my website at williamsoncountyema-il.gov. I will have the link on there before the end of today so that homeowners that are needing assistance with tree removal, tree cuts, anything, if you have trees on your fence, if you have trees on your house, if you need assistance, you'll be able to request assistance through the Southern Illinois Baptist Disaster Relief Group from a link on my website. Sheltering. Sheltering has become a problem for us. Our normal avenues for sheltering have been interrupted by the supply chain issues. Most of our disaster relief groups have issued ground stops because of roadway conditions. So we are still currently working to secure sheltering options. Currently, the Cornerstone Church has 12 beds available for people who need overnight sheltering, but they will also serve, that's Cornerstone Church here in Marion, Illinois. They can also serve as a temporary warming shelter for anybody who needs a warming shelter. Williamson County Emergency Management is currently in conversations with the American Red Cross to establish a long-term warming shelter. Hopefully we will have answers for the general public. We hope to have them before this press conference, but unfortunately they're not available at this time. So we will push that information out via our HyperReach, which is our mass notification system, via social media, and we will send a press release to all of the media outlets as soon as that information is available. But we are working, my crews upstairs are working very diligently to secure not only a warming shelter, but also feeding alternatives, because we understand that people have been without power since around 2 o'clock yesterday, and folks are starting to get very cold and they don't have options for providing food for themselves and for their families. And it's not as simple as driving to town and going to Wendy's, because some of our local businesses are closed also. So we are going to work very diligently, and hopefully I'll have a solution for you guys very quickly. We are not at this point planning a follow-up press conference unless a situation arises. So we will let you guys all know. We'll coordinate through a press release if we're going to call an additional press conference. So again, thank you all very much for coming today. We appreciate you being here. And I'm going to turn it back over to my public information officer, and he will facilitate your questions.
Thank you, Brian. So, who has questions and for whom? Anybody?
I just kind of want to make a deal with you, Brian. Are you just the biggest challenges you guys are facing right now, as opposed to,
Our biggest challenge.
Would you come up here?
Is,
Microphone?
yes, sir. I'm sorry. I'm not going to speak for Mr. Shepherd, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same page. Our biggest challenge is the icy roads, and the American Red Cross is our go-to for sheltering and mass feeding. And even though we have assets, within the county to move to make those provisions, everything's frozen. We can't even hook the trailers because the tongue of the trailers are frozen shut or frozen. We have to get torches to melt the hitches so that we can even get the trailers moved. So everything is much slower than what we anticipate during what we would consider a regular disaster response. Mr. Shepherd, do you have something other than that to add, sir? Okay.
do you know of any also too, I know we're trying to encourage people to stay off the road as much as possible. For those people who do need those shelters, are there any rides, are there any organizations out there that will help them that you know of?
So I'm not aware of any at this point. That is something that we have in our plans normally, and I know that Rides Mass Transit that is our normal provider for that, and they've issued a ground stop today as well. So I will add that to our plannings, our alternate planning objectives for this afternoon for an alternative transportation source. I don't have an answer, but I will work on that. But thank you for asking and bringing that to my attention.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
A couple people have been reaching out to us today asking a little bit about, and it might be explain the process to them about what it takes to have a state of emergency declaration. I know several of the states like Kentucky and Missouri have already had those declarations. Kind of explain what hoops you have to go through to get that, and if that's even needed at this point or would be needed.
So, okay, so the way the process works, I'm going to explain the process, and then I'm going to turn it over to our county board chair because he is our chief elected official to just reference the disaster declaration. But the disaster declaration process is where the local county will assess the amount of damage done to their counties. Now, that damage is not only physical damage, but it's also unexpected overtime costs for, street departments, county highway departments, sheriffs, police officers, fire departments. So we look at the amount of damage, we look at the effects that the storm has caused on all of the response in addition to our uninsured and insured homeowners. Once we've been able to do a full and complete damage assessment, then I will recommend to the county board chair whether or not we should seek a where we should seek a disaster declaration. At that point, County Board Chair Tim Atkinson will have a conversation with the entire Williamson County Board, and they will discuss whether or not they want to pursue a disaster declaration. If that's the board's will, then Mr. Atkinson and I will draft the disaster declaration and we will pass it on to the governor of Illinois. Mr. Atkinson, did you want to address that as well, sir?
Yeah, at that point, we'll reach out to our local representatives and our state senator, and we'll pass that along to them, and then those things will come from the state. They won't be local. And when that information is sent to them, they'll pass it along to the state. I think at that point, we should know what the financial impact is here within the next few days for the county and how much the services have cost. And those things will contribute also to this disaster impact. Anything else?
I think I was just kind of curious, I haven't dealt with much snow. How does this compare to other winter storms y'all seen?
I think, and again, I'm gonna.
Yeah, come on up here.
I forget
Come
the
here, Brian.
microphone. Yeah. So I'm gonna lend a lot of this to Mr. Shepard because it's kind of his wheelhouse too. But so from the National Weather Service's side, this has been a mixed bag of precipitation. Normally, a winter storm is going to be an ice event. It's going to be a sleet event. It's going to be a snow event. This had all three. This was the trifecta. It came in as sleet, transitioned to rain, transitioned to freezing rain, to snow. So that is what has impacted our ability to address. And Mr. Shepard, that's your wheelhouse, sir.
Yes, and absolutely. Just as Brian said, you treat each one of those events differently. So when you go to pre-treat, we pre-treated for the sleet. So once you get the sleet peeled up, it actually diminishes your pre-treatment for the next round. And then we got some rain that washed a lot of our roads and bridges off. So it was kind of a perfect storm, if you will, for difficulty of removing material. And that's why even the state routes still have snowpack. Our secondaries still have quite a bit of snowpack because it's just so difficult to peel that off at this point. So yeah, that as far as historical data goes, 2009 there was a similar event to this, but the past 10 years we just haven't had this sort of event, and it's been eye-opening for sure.
Now, this might be a silly question. When you say secondary roads, that means the same thing as back roads, basically, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
back roads. They're oil and chip. Our oil and chip roads here in Williamson County. Every county has primary and secondary roads that they consider differently, but they're what we would consider township roads or unit district roads. So,
George,
yeah.
could you tell them how many miles of roads we have?
Yes, absolutely. So we have approximately 660 miles of roads here in Williamson County that we treat. I don't even know how many bridges we have, but we take care of a lot of infrastructure.
And also the thing too is no matter how much you plan, and something is going to happen.
Yes.
but as much as you plan, all those plannings could be just thrown out the wayside because
that's-
of various factors.
That's right. That's right. And it's just like the wind. You know, we saw some wind coming. We knew that we were going to have 30 mile an hour gusts, but up a little higher, you know, say 10 meters in the air, we were expecting 45 mile an hour gusts. Well, that's really not a good thing when you have a half inch of ice on the trees, you know, or on the lines, or whatever's up there. So yeah, regardless of your preparation, Mother Nature can always throw something at you.
I don't know, none of you can specifically speak for each towns and everything. I know you're the highway.
Yeah.
But like for me, like last night, a huge limb fell on my city road. Should people call their city for that stuff? Is there particular people they should call for that? 'Cause I think
That's-
my neighbor called the non-emergency fire department. The city was
Yes.
out like within a half an hour to move this. So
Yes.
should each city, if it's in the city, should they call their city departments?
Yes.
Absolutely. Street
And
depart-
calling
yeah.
non-emergency
Yeah.
would be best.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of emergency calls coming in, but non-emergency numbers for something like that would be
Yeah.
best.
Your street department, your non-emergency police or fire department, absolutely, yes.
One last question for you, Brian, if you would like to talk a little bit about, I know we talked a lot about, really step 2 of this event is not even really here yet, the bitter cold that we're gonna see.
Yes, sir.
So, whatever is around, will obviously be staying. So just kind of talk a little bit about that and how we might also see some more sporadic power outages through this week.
So the greatest concern that we're going to have moving forward is the ability for our road crews to remove this stuff is going to be hampered greatly because of the deep freeze. Anything that they accomplish during the day is going to refreeze at night, so it's going to have to be readdressed every day. The other issue that we're going to have is going to be this power restoration. And, you know, SIPC is telling us, you know, maybe today, possibly tomorrow. You heard Ameren say by 11 p.m. tomorrow. So, I mean, that's a long time for folks to be without power and without being able to generate heat on their own. So, again, the concerns that we have are whether or not people are able to shelter in their homes and to be safe. And we always preach at emergency managers, prepare, prepare, prepare. And we hope at this point that everybody has already moved to their contingency plans. If that means to let your faucets drip and pack your kids up and go to your mom's that lives somewhere, you know, in another county that has power, I hope you've already exercised that. Everybody, we tell at every opportunity we have, we say always have a plan in place, because we have a situation now where I have a plan in place. I have a plan for sheltering. Well, guess what? My plan just blew up because I can't get anything here. Everybody's on a ground stop because of the weather. So I would love to be able to provide. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna make it work somehow, somewhere. My county board chair has already thrown some great suggestions out for what we can do to try to help. But hopefully everybody has already had that plan in place and they've prepared for cold weather. This is not the first time we've seen, you know, temperatures in the teens with wind chills below zero. It's not the first time that's happened here in Southern Illinois. It's an uncomfortable thing, but we should always have a plan, and hopefully people are already exercising those plans.
One follow-up real quick.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned Southeastern Power Cooperative. I know Ameren was here today. Have you heard there were a couple people asking, have you heard any specifics from them on percentages on when they might think those crews or those customers might have power back?
I have not.
Haven't yet.
I have a question real quick. I know that throughout the week, or like supposed to be on Friday, there's going to be some more snow coming in. Is that any concern about like future weather coming forward to any of the cleanup or getting things back running?
It's hard to answer that question because I don't know what that looks like. And as what we've experienced with this event, they can make a forecast 5 days out, but until you get within 8 to 12 hours of the actual event, it's very difficult to tell what it is. So the National Weather Service out of Paducah is a wonderful partner for all of our EMs and also for our street departments. We are in constant communication with them. They send out what are called DSS packets, which are decision support services, and it helps us operate. I know myself and Mr. Shepard use those religiously. We live by these these support services. I can't say enough about the folks down in Paducah and their messaging and their ability to help us make decisions. So as that event materializes and as they have a better idea of what that event is going to look like, they use those DSS, those decision support services, they use those packets to help us inform and to make decisions on how we're going to react to that. We're still too far out from that event to start making any decision.
Let me add to that.
Yes, sir.
Add to that. Along with your question, this county is going to provide those services as needed, when needed, where needed. We have quality people. Our highway department's second to none, and our sheriff's office is second to none. We've seen unprecedented cooperation between all of our departments. And I'm sorry, Brian, when you start naming people, you sometimes leave somebody out. But Brian's doing a fantastic job. His department works on a whole lot of other things besides natural events like this. He's working on a lot of other stuff also. But I just want to assure the citizens of this county is going to provide those services. These folks are going to go out and they're going to do their jobs. They're going to do their jobs very well. And call us when there's an issue. If you have something down, if it's blocking your road, if a car's, if you need any kind of services that what we're providing, call us and we will get to you. Okay?
Just real quick, about how many people do you have out cruise lines and everything?
Actually, George, could you tell them how many trucks we have also?
Yes,
And how many crews and
Yes.
kind of what they are doing, please?
Yes, absolutely. So we have approximately 30 guys out working. Out of those, we have approximately 15 trucks, depending on what problem we have, and they are. We just have one shift though. That's the thing. We don't go 24 hours like say IDOT does. So that hampers our reaction a little bit to a storm like this that is so timely, you know. So we get past that 12-hour mark and we've struck as hard as we can strike. Then we have to kind of back off. That's going to cause a little bit of a lull in getting this straightened up. But we have good equipment. We've put 300 ton of salt down, and we've put the man hours in to get into pretty good shape. And we're putting dents in the trees. And like the commissioner said, we will absolutely get to you. Just please call us. Let us know. You know, we have a list right now. We have about 30 items on it that we're chipping at. So.
Is it a first come, first serve, or do you try to look to what's priority?
Oh, we do prioritize those lists. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
And you have multiple calls in the same
Multiple
places.
calls, same places.
So
Yeah.
they may take care
Yeah.
of multiple citizens at one time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
I would just add that, you know, we've always been a county that takes care of one another. So please check on your neighbor, check on your relatives, see if you can help each other out through this few days of challenging situations. I'm sure between our government agencies and our faith partners, churches and such, we can all get through this. Thanks for being here today.